into claims of a cover-up.
We've been covering Karen Read since her initial arrest for the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe in Canton, nearly 2 years ago. There have been a lot of twists and turns.
I would ask the common sense question, does this look like a road rash?
Well, the information the council is relying on has him going up and down 3 flights of stairs before he's even at the house.
In the shadow of all the courtroom drama is a federal investigation. Our sources tell us the U.S. Attorney's Office is investigating the investigators who charged Read with murder. That is highly unusual. 25 Investigates will reveal a timeline that suggests someone with inside knowledge of the case went to the U.S. Attorney's Office long before Karen Read's lawyers went public with their claims of a cover-up. And a federal grand jury that's been meeting doesn't appear to be targeting people outside of law enforcement. Is it safe to assume that someone who's gone in and testified at a federal grand jury is probably not the target of that investigation?
It's probably a good bet to say that they're not the target. Usually the target won't testify until the very end, if at all.
And there's a big difference between something that is criminal and something where protocols may have not been followed correctly.
It's a big difference. Criminal is taken to a much higher standard. Obviously, you need to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
So right now we are putting the finishing touches on a story that's going to air later tonight. The Norfolk DA's office is caught up in this federal probe. I'll tell you about a letter the Norfolk DA himself sent to the Department of Justice and what happened when we tried to get a copy of it. Vanessa?
Ted, there is an awful lot of interest in this case. We've been hearing it from all of our viewers. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, there is. And the fact that the feds won't acknowledge the probe makes it a challenge to report on. Essentially, everything has to come from our sources. I got some new information over the weekend that we added to, we're adding now to our report, and it's going to be included in that story tonight at 10:15.
Looking forward to hearing from that, Ted. I know a lot of people are. A lot of people have been following this one. We'll see you again later this evening. Thank you.
This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life. Yeah. I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Now to what's tipping the scales. As Karen Read continues to proclaim her innocence, those in the community are rallying behind her, demanding that her murder charges be dropped.
Tim McDermott, who's also in the courthouse right now in the clerkhouse, collecting a check from all you people, the taxpayers, has decided that he doesn't want to put it up. There you go. Why? Because of the wonderful things he does. That is why. That's it. You just said because. Because it's impounded. Why is it impounded? Because. I just feel like it. Because I have power and you don't. So go pound sand, Turtle Boy. Well, we're not putting up with that. We're right here today, Jim McDermott, and we're not going to be quiet. We're here. We got it.
And that's just a brief glimpse into the relentless support from Turtle Boy, a blogger. He has landed himself in a bit of hot water. He, as I mentioned, known as Turtle Boy, he's been accused of witness intimidation, an accusation that he vehemently denies. He tweeted out this the day after his arrest back in October, saying that men with guns showed up at my house, tore it apart, took my computer and my phones, and handcuffed me in full view of my kids as they got on the school bus. I'm not the one guilty of intimidation. And today, joining us now to give us the latest himself, Turtle Boy, also known as Aiden Kearney, real name. But Turtle Boy, thank you so much for being on with us. Tell me, first of all, how you're doing, because you did have to go through this arrest. What's the status of your case at this point?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. Every morning I film myself at the bus stop. I live stream myself at the bus stop because if the police are going to pick me up again, which they probably will, there's talk about indictment, they're probably going to do it in front of the kids because they want maximum shock effect. They want to basically demoralize you and make it so that you don't want to continue. But so I film it every day just in case they do show up this time. Last time they caught me unprepared. This time I won't be. So getting by.
Wow. Tell me, just take our viewers back to the moment when you realized this was the case you wanted to attach to. Do you have any personal connection to Karen Read, her family, or her friends? Or was there something about this case that you just couldn't let go?
No, Karen Read was was a complete stranger to me. I live about an hour from Canton, so in Massachusetts. It was, it was a story that was in the news when John O'Keefe was first found dead on his lawn and his girlfriend, on Brian Albert's front lawn on 34 Fairview Road. And it was a story that stood out because anytime a police officer is killed, even if it's not in the line of duty, it's kind of a big, story. But when you saw that it was his girlfriend that did it, and it appeared to be an accident, you couldn't help but feel sorry for her. And honestly, I forgot about the case until around mid-April, April 17th to be exact. I read Alan Jackson's 92-page affidavit in the court filings, which detailed a lot of things that were just shocking about this story. Most particularly that stood out was that Jennifer McCabe, the sister-in-law of the homeowner, Googled how long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. And this is after they told police that John O'Keefe had gone home and was in bed, that he never showed up at the house. He was invited over there. He never showed up. So why would you Google how long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m.? They also had his Apple Health data that put him inside the house, ascending and descending stairs for 3 minutes from 12:21 a.m. to 12:24 a.m. There was an eyewitness who was outside the house who only saw Karen Reed in the car and had no sign of John O'Keefe whatsoever, and said that her taillight was in fine condition. There was nothing wrong with it whatsoever. And then there's the autopsy photos. The autopsy photos overwhelmingly show that that man was not killed by a Lexus unless a Lexus has a set of canine teeth similar to a German Shepherd.
I want to play some sound from moments that you just gave, because that's a lot. Like you said, it was a very long affidavit that was filed by the defense. Let's take a listen to Alan Jackson talking about the Googling by the neighbor.
Why is Jennifer McCabe one of the parties that was inside the house that night, the sister-in-law of Brian Albert? Why was she Google searching? How long does it take for a human body to die in the cold? The Apple Cocoa core data indicates, or the core time indicates exactly what time that Google search occurred. That time was at 2:27 and 40 seconds in the morning on January 29th. That's 3.5 hours before John O'Keefe's body was found.
Now, no charges have been filed against anyone else in this case other than Karen Reed. So I want to keep that in mind. But Aiden, I want to ask you about the community support. It has seemed to take on a life of its own. You've been at the center of a lot of it. But tell me about what people need to know about that community and how they are reacting to Karen Reed, especially now.
Well, it's just obvious to anyone with a brain who's looking at this situation and looking at the evidence and seeing what the Commonwealth is covering up, that it's quite obvious that Karen Reed is, in fact, an innocent woman. The lead detective in this case, his name is Michael Proctor. He is good friends, and they hid this. So, like, why would you hide this if you were innocent? Michael Proctor hid the fact that he is a close family friend of the two families involved, the Alberts and the McCabes. There's a picture of him in 2017 with Jennifer McCabe's kids on Facebook at a backyard party for his sister. There are multiple pictures of the Proctor family with the Albert family. As a matter of fact, 7-year-old Colin Albert in 2012, he's 19 now, who he was inside the house at the time. He was never interviewed by Michael Proctor. And as it turns out, in 2012, Colin Albert was the ring bearer in Michael Proctor's sister's wedding. So they were there together. They sat at a table together. Colin Albert's father, Chris, is good friends with Michael Proctor. They actually refer to them as a second family. So people aren't stupid. The reason you're seeing all those people outside, those are well-educated people. Those are smart people. They have jobs. They are just outraged that the institutions that they have put faith in. I mean, these are people who have supported police. These are not people who are anti-police. These are people who have supported the institution of the police and the district attorney's office, who feel lied to and betrayed. Because every time there is a hearing, all the Commonwealth does is get up there and lie. They lie to your face. They treat you like you're stupid. And people don't like being treated like they're stupid. So we're showing up on the courthouse stairs. And in case you couldn't possibly make yourselves look more guilty, they arrested me on October 11th, the man who has been leading the protests, because they are trying to shut me up. They knew two of the people. I have 8 stay-away orders on me now. So 8 of the witnesses in this who really should be considered suspects, I cannot contact. I cannot talk directly or indirectly to, which is basically preventing me from going to the entire town of Canton, Massachusetts. And they are doing this because they don't want me to ask these people tough questions. That's all this is about. They are just trying to silence a reporter who is getting way too close to exposing their corruption. The same cops I've been accusing of covering this up came to my house and read me my Miranda rights. The same district attorney's office who I've been accusing of corruption has been the one prosecuting me for this.
All right, Mike Crawford here. We got the special guest, the estate law attorney Brian Barrera. Did I say it right?
Yeah, that's my name.
Barrera. So
I didn't know we were live. I've been playing the game on my phone.
I figured, yeah, and I'm just barely awake. I've had like 5 cups of coffee to stay up this late. This is going to be great tonight. I'm so excited. Geez, some people saying that Turtle Boy is blocked from our chat. Saw a lot of comments there. I'm not aware of that. I don't think that happened, but I did go in and make sure that he is now definitely an approved user or whatever that is, approved something. So he's definitely got to be in there. And if he wants to call in tonight, any comments, he should feel vindicated tonight. I feel like things have changed. I feel like we're going to see tonight in a few minutes. We're going to play this, the Boston 25. What do you think, Brian? What do you think about all this?
We might be disappointed. But I mean, I've
been worried about that for a few weeks, that we might be disappointed because there was a lot of uncertainty whether this grand jury, this federal grand jury, was actually still a thing, because the other side kept saying, no, there was a no bill. And tonight it seems like, I don't know, it feels like there's a grand jury happening.
Isn't it the nature of the news business to make you want to tune back in, not just tonight?
Well, what a great promo they did. They gave a lot of info out tonight, really hyped everyone up, and we're all waiting. Actually, geez, I don't want to miss it. We're gonna make sure. I'm gonna check back. Let me just make sure that they're not airing it early. Yeah, they're not. They're right now. They're doing something happened with a Somerville officer. So,
I asked, I on your behalf, I asked our favorite Olivia if she would call in tonight. You know who I was talking about.
Olivia Nile.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
If she will call.
Will she?
Because Kevin keeps calling her Karen.
Yeah, a lot of people do. I wonder if she's Karen myself. Let's be serious. I have no idea. It could be. She's smart. Karen's smart. I mean, who knows? But I love Olivia Nile, whoever she is. I don't know.
About an hour ago, she posted something where she's comparing the health data with the GPS, and her idea is that it looks like the phone might have been in airplane mode from 12:25 till 6:15. And I nobody had ever brought that up before, but that's
a new piece of information. We're getting all kinds of information tonight. I love this one that came out today. Did you see this one? Let's see if we can get this up. Hold on one second. Just want to check this out. Not that one. No, I missed it. It's at the very beginning. This one. Our friend Jennifer Coffindaffer. She seemed to indicate too. This is like more confirmation. We're getting it from Boston 25, and also Jennifer Coffindaffer, who's been the biggest ridiculous. You can't trust anything she says, but when she says something like this, she basically says she's confirming it is still ongoing, to my knowledge, talking about the federal grand jury.
Oh, since Aiden uncovered that she was in touch directly with the DA's office, she might well have to still be in touch with them.
Yeah. And it's just, she might be getting information from this story tonight in Boston 25. They seem to think they know what's going to be in it. It's funny, but I'm very interested to see what they actually show tonight. I think it looks good.
Well, it's on in 4 minutes.
Yeah, 4 minutes. Hopefully, you never know if they change the time. Right now, they're doing the Kowloon. They're doing the Kowloon stuff right now. Yep.
I think maybe after, we don't have enough time right now.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah,
we can go over some of the recent things that have been talked about on Twitter.
I would love to. Let's to make sure that we're not going to miss it. I'm going to add the Boston 25 right now. Let's just make sure that we're not. Yeah, we got a different guy. Bob Waters on right now. I think we might actually just do it right now. Just turn on Boston 25. What do you think, Brian? Just to make sure that we don't miss it or not.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you want to hear about what's going on in Israel? that's what's happening right now. I'm like, nah, actually.
Yeah, they were our biggest stories in this case.
We got 3 more minutes. Yeah, but I don't want to even bring that topic into the show tonight. Maybe coming. No. It looks like they're doing a dog story tonight too. Oh boy.
How to prevent this from happening to you.
Plus, Boston 25 has learned a second wrongful death lawsuit has been filed in connection with Panera's charged lemonade. We'll have that story for you all new at 10:30.
And 25 Investigates has learned of a document that confirms federal authorities are looking into the Karen Reed murder case in Canton. We'll tell you what happened when our team tried to get a copy of a secret letter the Norfolk DA sent to the Department of Justice.
And don't forget, Boston 25 is ready to stuff the sleigh. Tomorrow, we will be accepting new unwrapped toys at Jordan's Furniture in Avon and also Reading. The Boston 25 News team will be at both locations from 7 in the morning until 7 at night to collect the toys. All toys go to Christmas in the City, a nonprofit that's been...
Yeah, let's take a break. We'll come back right after the break here. I'm going to bring that back up.
I'm George Estevez. At National News Tonight, we take you deeper into national stories. It's about showing you the real impact where you live with reporters who live and work in your community.
Now we're taking you outside, where this entire landscape is going to change.
Perspective on the day's breaking stories, big investigations, plus advice to save you money and protect your family.
We got a tip and started digging.
It's in-depth reporting with coverage from all sides. Join us on National News Tonight, streaming weekdays at 11:30 p.m.
Start your morning right. Start your morning right. Come on. Start your morning right. 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 Start your morning right.
Start your morning right with Boston 25 Morning News.
Start your morning right.
Every day. Just a short time ago, he told police he was in fear for his life. Stories
Our crew's been at the scene all afternoon.
A busy Boston street, sending people running for their lives.
Boston 25 News.
We are following breaking news at this hour.
Appear to have taken the brunt of today's bad weather.
Doing what it takes to keep you informed.
Live in Brighton.
Live in Brockton this afternoon.
Reporting in Lawrence.
Tonight, multiple sources confirmed that 25 Investigates that federal authorities were already looking into the Karen Reed murder case in Canton before the public movement to free her began.
As investigative reporter Ted Daniels shares, it's the latest twist in this incredibly high-profile case.
Most murder cases don't have a basis for federal jurisdiction. The feds do have the power to investigate the investigators. Sources tell me this probe is being run by the U.S. Attorney's Public Corruption Unit in Boston. And we've learned the Norfolk County DA is privately pushing back.
April 12th, Karen Reed's lawyers announced a dramatic turn in her murder case. They claim new evidence establishes her innocence in the death of her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe.
Pointing the finger at witnesses in this case. One of the relatives who was inside the party Googled how long to die in cold.
It would be the first time the public would hear allegations of cover-up, but not the U.S. Attorney's Office. 2 days before, on April 10th, a federal grand jury issued subpoenas to people connected to the case, according to a source with direct knowledge of the proceedings. Reed's attorney, Alan Jackson, briefly referenced the probe at a hearing for Reed in May.
But Karen Reed should not have to wait
for the feds to figure out which heads should roll.
Multiple sources tell 25 Investigates the U.S. Attorney's Office is examining local and state law enforcement's handling of the Reed case. And 2 FBI agents have been questioning people in and around Canton and reviewing documents from the Norfolk DA's office and the Canton Police Department.
They're not looking into the specific murder itself. I think that's the misconception a lot of people get. They're not investigating the murder, they're investigating the investigation of the murder.
Evan Gottlob is a former federal prosecutor who worked public corruption cases in Boston. Sources tell 25 Investigates multiple people identified by police as witnesses in the Reed case have testified before the federal grand jury.
Would the U.S. Attorney's Office begin a public corruption investigation on a hunch?
Usually there's a tip from somebody. The federal government could be looking into possible corruption in the police department, possible obstruction of justice in the investigation, those sort of things.
Innuendo is not evidence.
25 Investigates has learned Norfolk DA Michael Morrissey believes he's being targeted. According to 2 sources, Morrissey sent a letter to DOJ headquarters in Washington requesting that the federal probe be transferred out of Massachusetts. In the letter, Morrissey alleges Rachel Rollins, who was the U.S. attorney when the probe began, held a personal grudge against him. Morrissey argues that is a conflict of interest, according to our sources. Rollins resigned on May 19th following 2 scathing government watchdog group reports accusing her of abusing her authority and committing multiple ethical violations.
We know Morrissey's letter exists because the DA's office was forced to acknowledge it when they denied our public records request for it.
Their written response says the letter contains confidential personal information, privileged attorney work product, and is connected to an ongoing criminal investigation.
Is it possible the feds would get involved in a case because of a grudge?
No, I would hope not. That's not the job. The job is to do justice.
Gottlob says public corruption investigations typically take 2 to 4 years for a resolution. If no criminal activity is found, he says the feds aren't obligated to do or say anything.
You won't hear anything about it. I'm pretty sure anybody in the U.S. Attorney's Office that's looking into it knows how important it is to get this right based on the interest on both sides of this matter.
Sources tell us Morrissey's conflict of interest letter to the DOJ also references a former assistant DA who used to work in his office. In the letter, Morrissey says she is married to a high-ranking federal prosecutor in the public corruption unit. 25 Investigates has petitioned the Secretary of State's office to force the Norfolk DA to turn over the letter. We also tried to reach out to Rachel Rollins, but did not hear back. For 25 Investigates, I'm Ted Daniel.
From your weather experts, here's your local.
Wow. That was pretty wild. Brian, what do you think about what we just saw on Boston 25 News?
I think they're just saying tune in. Keep tuning in. That the fact that he wants it out of Massachusetts suggests that people have it out for him, or people know what he's up to. I don't know. I don't know really what to say here.
I'd be very interested in Rachel Rollins, knowing her. I interviewed her on this show actually a few years ago, right? Like the week before she got elected. Haven't talked to her probably, not really since, maybe a couple times, but man, I hope she responds because she just got thrown under the bus by Morrissey. He said it was a grudge. I have a feeling that she might have something to say. I hope so, especially when it's been aired on Boston 25.
I think she's got an ethical duty to not talk about the case. She can talk about the charge, but she can't talk about what she knows.
Exactly. I think she could respond to Morrissey on the charge that it's a grudge.
And it's not surprising that he used the excuse that it's an ongoing case to block the access. Attorney work product. Those are easy things to throw out there.
Yeah.
So maybe what they did is they actually provided information about the case,
right,
and not just about the investigation. Right? If you look at what they did in the SJC case, they were desperately trying to keep those cell phones out of evidence, it seemed to me. So what they were doing is they were throwing their whole case out there. And when Morrissey's spokesman, David Traub, was talking to the journalist who wrote for the Boston Magazine article,
Gretchen Voss.
you know, what's that?
Gretchen Voss. Yes.
Yeah, he was giving her information also that I think some of that information in some of his emails to her were first time we heard some of that.
Right.
So there could be work product in those letters, but this is not good. He's probably not very happy right now.
I feel like this is the beginning of the end for them. You know, I really do. I feel like I mean, I don't think I've ever doubted Karen Reed being innocent and that you know, Turtle Boy shouldn't be charged, but I feel like man, they did everything they could. And a few weeks ago, I wasn't feeling as good, like in a lot of respects, just because, you know, the way the system's working, you just don't know about the feds. But I feel like there is something going on with the federal government there, and I think it's gonna pan out. I have faith in this now, totally. You seem a little less so, Brian.
I didn't hear anything there that was earth shattering or.
It wasn't earth shattering, but it was earth shattering in the fact that it's on Boston 25.
Yeah.
And a lot of people
on
aren't
Channel
gonna-
5?
What is it?
We're not on Channel 5.
Oh, because they have a conflict of interest. We know about their double conflict of interest. Everyone talks about Henning, the Henning thing. He's the legal analyst, and he's also Brian Albert's attorney. But I think the bigger thing with Channel 5 is they don't like what Aiden did to their reporter, who was married to a dog abuser. You know, they own this kennel and this training facility, and it's awful. It was awful what he, exposed them. So I think Channel 5 hates him. So I think that's why they're not covering it.
Well, I didn't know about that. I think the first time I ever heard of Aiden was probably in May or June.
Yeah, that was a big story he did pretty recently, too. It was about a Falco animal training center in South Boston, and all these moms and, of dogs, and they told their stories, and it was horrible. Horrible. The guy's a firefighter, and he's married to a Channel 5 traffic reporter. She still works there, which is just, and she went after the customers like that were complaining. It was unbelievable. So I think that's their big conflict. But I think it's good that it's on tonight. And I think this guy is going to investigate more. It seems like he's on to it now, Ted Daniel. I think he was the best reporter at the Turtle Boy press conferences. And I think that he's already getting it. He's getting that they're blocking their information. And Morrissey, yeah, like Turtle Boy's watching right now. He says Morrissey really doesn't want them investigating him. I think that's it.
Is that him?
That's Turtle Boy, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in. We definitely made sure he was in. I did something for the first time I've never done on the channel. I had to add someone, I guess. And I don't even know how he got. Now I'm worried we're hacked because I don't remember actually deleting any of those Turtle Boys the other night. It was weird. Yeah, someone said about Higgins. I wonder about Higgins. When they mentioned too that the Department of Justice got tipped off, it could have been that guy Scanlon. People keep on bringing up Scanlon, but it could have been Higgins too. Wouldn't that be something?
What if it's Brian Wanless?
There you go. So many of them.
Many
of them, right?
I mean, this is the look. I want justice in this case, and Sean McDonough keeps bringing up this Brian Wanless, but he's not in evidence anywhere. Right. I would love it if Ted Daniel interviewed him.
Yeah, Brian Wanless, the Canton police officer. They should interview more Canton people. That's what I would love to see Ted Daniel take it to next is, like you said, the Canton police, the police chief, because I think they're going to have huge liability in this too. I think that it's not just going to be the Mass State Police. I think the Canton police, even if they're not charged, this is just awful for their town. And I think it's going to be interesting. There's a select board meeting tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and I think the Free Karen Reed people are going to be there, hopefully. And it'll be interesting to see some of the speeches, and if these select board members any of them ever get some balls and like actually act like adult people and show up for their town that they're supposed to represent, because I haven't seen any evidence of that from the 5 of them, like at all. Not in like even 1%. Like there's just nothing there going on. So it'd be interesting to see tomorrow night what happens over there too. But Brian, you want to talk about more about Canton?
Yeah, but people need to be warned, about don't go there with a sign that could be viewed as witness intimidation. I mean, they're targeting anyone who has a sign in front of Chris Albert. But so what could you say in front of him?
Well, I think you could speak at the meetings, and I think you can show up and support the people who speak at the
But
meetings.
if you have a sign, that's where I think they'll.
Yep. No, I agree. I mean, people that I'm not telling people not to bring a sign if they're willing to take the risk and they know what the risk is. Like, to me, that's courageous. I love that when people do that. But I'm glad that you're pointing it out, because some people aren't prepared to take that risk, and then they do like a fool, and then they can't handle it. So you're right. There's also going to be a protest coming up of the police. They're going to be marching Sunday. I think it's either this Sunday or next Sunday. I'm thinking about even going down there. But again, like you said, if you pick up a sign, who knows? You could be charged in Canton. So for me, I might just film the whole thing and just kind of interview some folks and kind of document it. But we'll see. If I pick up a sign, am I going to face a charge in Canton? Depends on what sign, I guess. If I say,
remember, somebody was not charged who just had a sign that said justice.
Okay, justice is
the
a fine one.
Canton 10.
What about
one of them?
How about investigate the Canton police? I think that's a safe sign, right?
But I don't know. They're witnesses, aren't they?
I don't know. I think you come on. I mean,
it is ridiculous
it's
already.
not right. It's not the pizza shop owner. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think you're fine protesting the police, but I agree. You got to be careful you sign if you're not ready to be the Canton 9. And what do you think about that case too? Because I want to talk more about the Canton police. There's some evidence things you want to talk about too. But what do you think about the Canton 9? That case, that just seems really awful.
It's just ridiculous. The officers didn't arrest them right then and there. They practically admitted that there was no problem there.
I just got a comment that maybe tomorrow's select meeting is just a one-on-one. I didn't see that on the schedule. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out. I hope it's not just a one-on-one. If they pull that crap, who knows? We'll find out. Sorry to interrupt you, Brian.
No thoughts going on there.
What is it?
No, I had no particular thoughts that I was saying at that point.
Was that noise from your place or my place?
What?
No, you didn't hear it. I just want to make sure no one's knocking at my door late at night.
You have a pizza
delivery. I'm getting paranoid. Yeah, I got a pizza delivery. Oh my fucking God. If that happens, I'll pay for the pizza and I'll eat it. I'm hungry right now. Even though my girl actually fed me tonight for once. I usually do all the cooking, the purchasing of the deliveries.
So
yeah, I'm just looking at all the comments. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's so different doing a show tonight because I'm kind of up, but it's like it's 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
10:30 at night.
Yeah. I actually took a quick nap, unintentional, a little while ago, so now I'm wired.
Yeah, we have 1,100 people watching right now, which is pretty good too.
Look, I maybe we can spend a couple of minutes on something that's been going on Twitter the last couple of days.
Yes,
there's this idea out there that John's car got moved and that's why the video was Karen deleted the video because she took his car out to go visit him. It's like, what? And yet you don't see tire tracks, you don't see a displacement of snow off the car. She went there. Why did she go there? It doesn't make any sense. And there people are arguing that, and I'm not saying these are people, these are trolls. These are unnamed people making these comments, so except for one who I respect her somewhat. But the idea is there was how does your Ring camera get controlled? I don't think I've ever set it up. I set this up probably a year and a half ago, and it went right onto my phone. I don't think I've ever logged in on a computer.
Right. That's what I was thinking too. I'm on another similar brand, not even a Ring camera, but I have a similar brand that Amazon sells, big seller, that people know. Nope. But I don't even want to say it. Brian, my security stuff, I just, whatever it is. But I gave away too much information already. But like, it's the same thing though. It's the same thing. Like it's on the phone. It's not on the computer. I don't know how to access it on the computer. So
the reason people think that Karen did it, because we know his phone was with him after the accident, is there's something in the charging document where Proctor apparently talked to the 10-year-old nephew. Now, if you want to know how the Ring camera, if you're an investigator and you want to know how could that have been deleted? Let's see, how could you figure that out? The computer doesn't seem to be in evidence. You're going to go look at the computer. Maybe the computer wasn't even touched that night. You could easily rule that out. The charging document was filed in June. They had 4 months. They could have gone directly to Ring. Ring is known to be pro-police. They're not hiding any of this. They could have gotten information, how it got deleted, the IP address, was it done by phone? But no, he didn't do that. I mean, we know from court documents that the defense was trying to get the Ring information and didn't get it till, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. If you're an investigator, all right, are you gonna rely on a 10-year-old? You're gonna ask, well, could that have been controlled by the computer? Yeah, okay, maybe. 10-year-old is in 4th or 5th grade. How do they know, really? And if you're going to ask somebody, why not ask the teenager? So, the possibility exists that I don't think anyone's ever mentioned on Twitter is the 10-year-old was at somebody else's house that night. John and Karen went out for the night. That leaves a teenage girl home alone. Maybe she had visitors she didn't want John to know about. And if it is controlled by the computer, wouldn't she be the one with the motive to eliminate some of the videos?
Right.
But I mean, if you're gonna do an investigation, that's pretty shoddy to just ask a leading question to a 10-year-old, and that's in 4 months. That's how they kind of pin the idea that Karen would have been the one deleting the video.
Bingo.
It's just doesn't make any sense. And if you contrast this, last week I printed out the Brian Walsh charging document. The investigation there was chock full of video. It was tremendous. They left no stone unturned. They went into businesses. They got all kinds of digital and video information. I don't know if you've read it. Have you read that charging document? It's It's really thorough, very impressive. The same people are relying on a 10-year-old to tell them how Ring works in this. No, that doesn't
Weird.
make any sense. So that suggests to me that the Proctor did it. You know, or the other alternative, the teenager did not wanting John to know who came to visit.
Hmm.
But you know,
Who knows?
but
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
of course it could have
Good
been
points.
Karen too. I mean, this, you know,
Yeah, it's possible.
I don't want to be completely
But it's also
one-sided here.
possible there wasn't even a computer thing. So it's
Right.
I don't trust any of these trolls, whatever they say. Like they're always wrong. You know who always ends up being right? The one we should talk about more is Aiden, Turtle Boy.
Yeah.
Like he's always getting it right. Like for me, like I had already kind of bought into a lot of what he was covering. I was following it. Maybe I wasn't vocal or public about it, but I was even messaging him way before I even, about his coverage, just in general. Like, and the big thing was when Bridgewater State came back with a FOIA request. When Colin Albert got that subpoena, federal subpoena, that to me was like, wow. So there's been so many of those moments and not enough moments for the coffin daffers or the other dude who calls us the mindless mob. I like what Aiden said. We aren't stupid. I think I think the people that have looked into this aren't stupid. Like for me too, like I've been around too many political campaigns and politicians. I've interviewed hundreds of politicians on this show. That's what this show was for years. It was a political show. I just got kind of tired of it and wanted to start doing something else and follow my interests. But I've been around politicians. The big thing for me is to see the way the town of Canton has acted, the elected officials. I've never seen anything like it. I really haven't. I've been to, so there's so many tells in this thing. There's so many, just like Kevin talks about, like certain things are foundational. There's a lot of tells if you're paying attention, if you aren't stupid. Who are we taking a phone call? Do you want to take some phone calls tonight, Brian? Or do you want to stick around? Okay. Who's on the phone right now? You're on live with 1,000 people watching. What do you got for us?
I'm so psyched, Mike. It's Gene from Dorchester.
Gene from Dorchester. Have you called before? I believe you have, haven't you?
100 times, Mike.
I love it. I love your
We're
calls.
like old friends.
Yeah. So what do you got for us tonight?
I'm just saying. So Michael Morrissey and this Rachel Rowland thing, right? So he had a conflict of interest with her, and he's using that as the excuse to go somewhere else or whatnot, right? Oh, I'm thinking, what does she know? Like, we all know, like, she's whatever, right? But what does she know? Like, what does she have on Michael Morrissey? Like, that's what I want to know, because of course we don't know what happened between them. But if he's using that, I would love to know what's going on with them. And it would probably be real easy, right, to get her to talk to someone. You know what I mean?
I know. I'm hoping she's going to call.
He's kind of throwing her under the bus.
Yeah.
But he didn't know that she was going to know this. And now it's all over the news. So that's actually pretty good, right?
I hope she's going to text me later. Or I hope Rachel Rollins reach out to Aiden, one of us.
Right.
Even if
reach
it's
out to anybody,
yeah.
Right?
Or Ted,
So,
reach back
and
out
as
to
far
Ted
as,
Daniels.
Right. And as far as, I agree with Brian a little bit. It wasn't like this great interview, but I think that it's gonna, a lot of people, like Turtle said earlier, not a lot of people have Facebook. They still watch the news. They still read papers. So there's gonna, this is gonna open up a lot of curiosity from people. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? The FBI's investigating.
Yeah,
I think
and I
this
think
is
the media too.
kinda-
I think the local media too.
Right.
Like once one goes
Right.
for it, sometimes you'll see, and especially if their ratings start moving out, which I think is going to happen. Like I think this is going to be a big story for them. I think that this moves the needle. Like the story does move the
Right.
needle. So I think that if he
Absolutely.
continues to do this and he continues to get like social media and all the attention, I think maybe Channel 4 has to do something. Maybe Channel 10 has to do something.
Right.
Maybe the Globe has to
And
do better.
I think with the voicemail that we all heard the other day, with that, just like listening to that was crazy, and just seeing how horrified Karen was. And, you know, I've been in her situation before where like you don't know what's going on and you're just like looking for somebody like, help me, Jen. I've been there. I feel it. And then just for Jen McCabe, and to hear like about the blankets, there's no blankets, and you're right there. And there's a dead cop on your lawn, all right? And your sister's house is right there with a cop. And you're on the phone with 911, and you're not running to their house, kicking that door in, banging on it, ringing the bell. Help, 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 help. John's dead on the lawn. Help me. You're a cop. We need blankets. We need help. We need nothing. Right there, that there, right alone, just sent chills down my spine when I was listening to that voicemail, because it just made everything so real. Like it's absolutely disgusting. And if you are somebody that believes there's no cover up, this is a conspiracy theory, after the voicemail, after tonight, after Turtle Boy getting arrested, after them going after regular people protesting, a kid, if this doesn't wake you the hell up, then you're literally just brain dead. You're brain dead. You just don't, you're not willing to open your mind and see the other side.
If you look into it,
it's just clear.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, some
you
of
know
those
what I mean?
people, some of those people are saying Karen intentionally went out there to put on an act.
Yeah.
She could have just
Right.
gone to bed. You know, why
Who
did she
are-
have to go there to
The
put on
prob-
an act?
The problem with those people, Brian, is who are they? I
Right.
mean, mostly what we know who they
Jen
are is the
McCabe.
McAlberts, and yeah, they're so those people don't matter. Like those people, or they're just people who hate Aiden. Like that's what it's come down to, or maybe hate me now. Like some of those people too. Like it just
Right. Oh yeah, they're definitely ones that hate Aiden. I've actually seen some people that I'm like, wait, because like I said before, I've been following Turtle Boy since when he was just Turtle Boy and nobody knew who he was. But it's most of them are those people like, thank God someone finally got him, you know, and don't care about justice, you know. So screw them anyways, because in the long run they're not going to matter. They're still going to be losers. And with the Jen McCabe's and stuff like that, it's actually their job to do this. But what
and you know what? I
voicemail
love this one too. There's a comment that came up said you can't fake the pain in her voice. In my honest opinion,
You
let me tell
can't.
you something.
You cannot.
Yeah, let me tell you something. If you haven't tried acting, you know,
right,
I've tried acting. I know how hard it is because I suck at it. I am so bad. That's why I could never do like a polished show. Like I can't act. I'm not a good liar or
Right.
actor. I'm just not. Like I just never have been.
Right.
Like that is so difficult. If that was acting, like she's up there with like, you know, the best actors in the world, like Meryl Streep.
Right.
Like
She missed her chance to be a
and I don't
movie
think
star.
I don't think someone that is in the financial world is the best actor up there with Meryl Streep, because it takes practice. It's like anything else. You have to do it every freaking
No,
day.
there
for
was
years.
no. She was horrified. She was absolutely horrified.
You know who's not a good actor
Devastated.
is the other one, Jennifer. I mean, that's what it
Jen
sounds like to
McCabe?
me. It sounds like she's not a good actor.
No, you know, just like Aiden said, yeah, there's a guy in the lawn dead. Like, what do you mean there's a guy? What do you mean a guy? You mean a police officer, John O'Keefe? You know what I mean? What are you talking about? Like he said, if they would have said, if she would have said police officer, a different turnout would have happened. That 911, the first 911 caller would be calling state police, calling everybody. But no, she knew exactly what she was doing.
Exactly.
She knew exactly what she was doing, and she played it to a T. And I don't know what she said at the end. Everybody has their own stories. All as I know, I don't even care what that says. The fact that she didn't run to her sister's house. I know for a fact, just like someone commented on Facebook today about having sisters. And if that was my sister's house and there was a dead person, not just only a cop, you're damn straight I'm going to be running into her house. Not only to make sure she's all right. Like, who knows what could have happened? Like,
Right.
they could be in
Something
there
else
dead
could
or
have
hurt.
happened. Exactly. Thank
Right.
you,
So
Gene.
you
Gene,
all
let me
right, I'm
ask you
sorry,
another
I'm
question.
taking up a lot
Before,
of time.
I want to ask you something else. I want to ask
Have
you
a
something.
good night.
No. Listen, are you still
Oh,
there?
all right. I thought you were hanging up on
Let's
me.
be quick though. I want to get to something
All
else.
right.
The Canton Nine.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, Tim came on recently with Meredith, and Tim's a 17-year-old who. Did you hear that
Yes,
interview?
I've seen that.
I was shocked.
Yes,
I wasn't
I
ready
did.
for that. Like, I looked up his schedule, his wrestling schedule. Like, holy shit, their schedule is like unbelievable. I'm like afraid for the kid now. Like, he's wrestling some serious schools. What did you think about
Well,
Tim?
yeah, right.
Tim?
I
What's
watched-
happening with Tim?
I was watching your interview, and I commented and I said that Mike's in heaven right now because you guys were like talking about wrestling and all that stuff, and I'm like, oh, Mike's loving this.
I was. I
But,
really was.
I know.
I didn't ask him
But,
enough good questions though. I should have found out like what's his like. Does he have a takedown? I didn't, but next time, I got more questions for Tim.
Right. Well, definitely. But you know what? The thing is with him, he's young and he's going to be fine. And you know what? This is someone that's as young as him, and he's a good kid. He'll be fine, and it's going to change his mind about a lot of things, and it's going to make him think twice about the kind of stuff that's going on right now. So he's going to be all right, Tim, and he's going to do the right thing in life, definitely.
I hope so. I hope things turn out good with them. Thank you so much for calling and listening and watching, Gene.
All right. I love you, Mike. Good job, Brian. It was nice talking to both of you guys. Have a good night. And if I don't talk to you, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and all that good stuff.
You too. Thank you, Gene. Merry Christmas.
All right. Bye.
We got Gene from Dorchester. That was a good call. We got a comment from Erin. She said she was a girl wrestler for 4 years. That's awesome. I love girl wrestlers. I love all wrestlers. Anyone who wrestles. Should I take a no caller ID? This is like always icy. You never know what's going to happen with this. You say sure. But my hang up game will be quick. Who's on the phone right now? Come on, man. Who's this?
This is Nicholas Fiorello. Michael, how are you?
Oh man, Nick, come on. You got to go
This
on.
is it, Mike. This is a huge night for America. Let's get the people a voice. Let's talk about what's really happening and spread the word throughout Massachusetts and the entire United States of America. The Canton town people stood up to the police department and they put forward a probe to investigate a corruption that was happening within their town that is now spilled over into the United States in complete democratic system that gets controlled from Massachusetts with the dirty politicians that have been covering up Canton, Massachusetts, and the corruption that started here over 150 years ago.
Yep.
What I'd like to...
All right. Thank you, Nick. We'll take the next call. What do you think? Do you know Nick? Do you know about Nick?
No, I don't.
No, Turtle Boy had a post about him the other day. I mean, it's interesting with him. I don't even want to get into it, but I guess we let him on for like a few seconds. Who else is on? Who's on the phone now?
Hi.
Hi.
Mike?
Yeah, you're live on the show.
Hi.
Who's calling right now?
Hi. Shannon McMahon.
Oh, Shannon, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? You ran a story about me a while ago. I ran against Tom Quinn for Bristol County DA.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to keep you in the loop. So I think a massively important story, and I'm so thrilled you covered it earlier, is the actual investigation into the investigation, because, you know, I'm all pro Turtle Boy and free Karen Reed. I think this is just a nightmare of epic proportions. But I do believe that there will never be justice until there's a proper investigation into the investigators. And like you said previously, that takes a very, very long time. One of the things that's huge that is happening on Wednesday at 9 a.m. is the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts is hearing a case. It's Eric Mack versus the Bristol County District Attorney's Office for a public records request. And the SJC has been asking for amici briefs from retired judges and all members of the legal community, because it's a case of first impression, and whether or not a district attorney has to disclose as part of a public records request information about the investigating officers. I think that the reason there's kind of a chill in the air right now is everyone's waiting to see how the SJC determines this, because that's going to determine what Morrissey has to give over. And I really think everyone should be paying attention to these oral arguments on Wednesday at 9. This is case law at its finest, and it's going to affect every journalist, everybody, period. It's going to allow district attorneys to withhold whatever it is that they deem personal about a police officer involved in any homicide, period.
And so I just want people to know who didn't catch what your introduction there, Shannon. You ran recently for district attorney in Bristol County against Thomas Quinn III.
That's right.
And it was basically on a similar kind of discussion. You're a Democrat.
It was,
Are
yes,
you a Democrat?
I am. I am.
So
Yeah.
this is another case of like here we are, some Democrats and liberals. You think you're getting any pushback?
Gotta be honest.
Be honest. Do you think you'll get any pushback from anyone being a Democrat that say you support Turtle Boy?
I could care less. I
there you go.
have always ran on the fact that my beliefs are my beliefs, and they have more closely aligned with the Democratic views. I grew up under two teachers, raised two kids before I went to law school. Things for me, I'm massively, massively for women's rights over their own bodies, women's rights to choose. Those are major, major issues. A huge, huge proponent of justice and oversight for public officials, which is why I wanted to be one and wanted to encourage Boston to create an oversight committee for district attorneys for these very reasons. Because in my opinion, in Bristol County, we have a very similar problem. The Morrissey thing is and I'm not sure if it's Turtle Boy or the media hype, but we have a very similar situation. I know you're familiar with the Anthony Hardin shooting.
Yep.
Mack, and that's the case that's the case in front of the SJC on Wednesday.
Awesome. And you've been a great advocate for that. People are asking what your last name is. I want to spell it out. It's Shannon McMahon. It's McMahon for people who want to look you up. Are you going to run for office again? Are you going to run for DA again?
Jury's still out right now. I just helped deliver my brand new grandson. My son's got one more year left before he's off to college, and I got to be honest, that was a tough run. We did really well. I couldn't have been prouder of my team. We had a team of 6 with no money, and we still managed to get just about 40% of the vote against a Quinn in Bristol County, which is just unheard of. I was very proud.
Can we convince you to move to Norfolk County, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not joking you. I actually had 2 phone calls asking me if I would consider that. And I thought it was a joke, but now it's starting to seem a little bit too much.
Seriously?
Too similar. But no, I will never leave Bristol County. I'm a born and bred diehard. I believe in this county. I love this county. I've raised my kids here. But I'll make a decision when my son graduates, because that was a tough campaign. to put a couple of kids through high school.
If you do
through.
run again, you got to go on Turtle Boy show. Like that would be amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, you guys talked about
I'll
me
bug
first.
him to get you on there.
I'll go with you.
Yeah,
I'll go
we'll
with
have you
first.
on.
How
Yeah,
about
we'll
that
definitely
one?
have you on here
You
again.
guys were very, very kind to me during the election. But I just cannot stress this enough. On the legal front, like, this is where they've got to win this case. It's got to be about, they have to kind of ignore the murder charge for a minute and go after the people investigating. So that pushes back. So it just delays it. Even if it delays it, it's better because then you have better people either prosecuting it or making decisions about prosecuting it. But none of that can happen if there's a blanket rule that district attorneys don't have to disclose interviews, videotapes with investigating officers, with the officers who saw the body, because that's standard, with the officers who collected evidence, those kind of interviews, those kinds of reports, they cannot be redacted. We cannot let this happen. This is an enormous case in front of the SJC. And, once upon a time, I had huge faith in our court system. But obviously things have changed. And it's frightening, and to hear the SJC ask for a Mickey brief means that they don't know, based on precedent, what to do. So whatever they decide to do will create precedent. That's pretty standard when they're making new law. So this could really change the atmosphere. And I just think everyone who's involved in this, involved in journalism, involved in free speech, should absolutely know about this. Pay attention. The Zoom link, I think, is on the SJC's website. But one thing I know about Eric Mack, if he's arguing this,
yeah,
it's not a problem. But
yeah.
But he's one of the greatest lawyers I've ever met in my
I was
life.
gonna say he's very impressive.
He really is, yeah, and also a fantastic guy. I can't say enough about the guy. But I really hope you guys pay attention. I hope you guys cover some of that at least. I hope it just spreads the word that there are things happening behind the scenes legally that could really affect this case.
And for people,
if
I just want to interrupt you for
if
1
Channel
second.
25 can't
Shannon.
get a public record.
Shannon, I just want to stop you for
sorry?
1 second. Turtle Boy's listening, and he just popped back in. And I know a lot of people pop in and out, so they don't know who's speaking. And I just want to make sure they know who you are, because it's really important. This is Shannon McMahon, who ran for district attorney against Thomas Quinn in Bristol County. Attorney, and she likes Turtle Boy. She supports what we're doing on this. She's a Democrat. Brian asked her if she would run in the other county, Norfolk, but she's looking at Bristol again. Maybe if after her family stuff. So that's who we have on the show. I want to thank you so much for calling in tonight, Shannon.
Oh no, I thank you for giving me the opportunity. Like I said, spread the word. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. I love listening to your show. I love listening to Turtle Boy's show. I got to be honest. I listen to it bizarrely, like a bizarre amount. I'm totally intrigued. You guys are extraordinarily intelligent, and I don't use those terms lightly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for calling in tonight.
Thank you.
And I definitely want to follow up with Eric Mack too. That'll be a good case to get into again. Kind of follow up with what he's doing.
Yeah, like I said, check him out on Wednesday, 9 a.m. Supreme Judicial Court, 9 a.m. via Zoom.
We'll be looking for that. Thank you so much, Shannon.
All right. You got it.
Bye now. That was a good call. What do you think about that one, Brian?
I think we need to move her.
We need to move her.
We just need to chip in to move her across.
She said she wouldn't go though. She's a homer. She wants to stay in Bristol County. She did pretty good. I mean, especially against Quinn. I mean, that guy. She almost, very competitive campaign against an incumbent. I just want to make sure that people know tonight, we haven't announced it. We collected funds tonight, 60% of the money. We're going to split among the three funds, as we're going to do for the rest of the week. There are no more t-shirts. You guys got all my t-shirts. There's like one upstairs. It's a one extra large that's actually going to one other person that qualified on the last time we did this. So if you want stickers, we could still do some stickers. If you donate $25 or more, we'll send you out some stickers if you want them. When you make a contribution through Venmo or the Cash App, if you want the stickers, the Young Jerk stickers, just send us in the comment, your address and your mailing address, and we'll mail them out to you. If you want us to read a comment tonight, we'll do that as well, hopefully before the end of the show. Again, we collect on the Cash App. It's Mike Crawford 1 or Mike Crawford TYJ on Venmo. You could also give directly to the funds. You don't have to give us any money. We, keep 40% of the money, any donations you give through Venmo or the Cash App. But if you don't want to do that, this is basically a 4-way fundraiser tonight. It goes to the Young Jerks and then the 3 defense funds if you give through our Venmo or Cash App. You can also give directly, and we want to make sure that people are doing that. The Canton Defense Fund, Canton 9 Defense Fund. It's the Canton9.com. You also have freekarenreed.net, and you have the Turtle Boy Defense Fund. You can just Google that one. That will pop right up. It's Give, Send, Go. Just Turtle Boy Defense Fund. Google it. You'll find it right away. It's the top thing that pops up. So please continue to give to those funds. freekarenreed.net is on the screen right now. You can also scan, I guess, or whatever that thing is, the Q code. I don't even know how those codes work. But Brian, what do you have for kind of final thoughts for us tonight? Anything you want to share with us?
Every time I go back through the documents, the main documents, I see something different, and I see something that bothers me more. This thing was so botched. For example, Ryan Nagel seems to be a very big witness here. There's no time listed in any of the documents. We have no idea at what time he was there. Now, the DA says at 12:25, that's when the hit occurred. When was he there? And what about the other 2 people in the car, or in the truck? Why is that missing here? To me, if you think something happened right there, they were the closest of anybody. Why isn't that there? If you're trying not to investigate, you leave that out, or you just put the bare minimum in there, and that's what Proctor did. And can't just blame it on Proctor. It's Lally too. Lally had the final edit in all of this. You got to wonder what's going on in his head if he knows that his boss is being investigated. I think if I were working there, I'd resign.
I mean, or flee the country. I mean, some of them might. I mean,
Djibouti.
Yeah. I feel like this was a good night. I feel like the whole last couple of weeks have been good. Even like Gene said when that tape came out. Like, I feel like it's vindication. A lot of this, more and more evidence comes out all the time. It's more vindication.
Well, I mean, somebody needs to really listen to that tape and enhance the whispering, or whatever that sound was. Some people are saying one person, the Braden troll, I think it was, said it sounded like going out there and talking to, no, it wasn't Braden, it was actually an actual person named Julie who said she'd go out there and talk or speak in a quiet voice, which makes sense. Talking to somebody who's panicking, talking in a quiet voice, someone's coming to help. Maybe that one actually was not to the sister. But then the second one, just the timing just seems to line up. You're not pinning this on me, or whatever it is she said. But the more I hope the defense is looking closely at Twitter or Karen, somebody, because there's a lot of analysis going on out there. The trolls try to sidetrack us, but they don't do a great job because they don't have much to say.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm sure they are, especially like Olivia Nile, and yeah, I'm sure they're looking at everything.
Why aren't we all picketing Morrissey?
I mean, couldn't that be something that you might even get in trouble? I'm surprised you said that, actually, Brian. Isn't that picketing a witness or whatever? I mean,
Morrissey's not a witness.
He considers himself protected. He's a court employee or whatever. I mean,
I don't know.
that's how far they take it, don't they? Let's take this call. Let's see who's on the line here. You got a 508. Maybe it's Turtle Boy. He's in the 508.
Not quite.
No, it's not Turtle Boy. Who is this?
How you doing, Mike?
Hey, hello.
This is Jack.
Jack?
Zach.
What do you got for us, Zach? Where you calling from, the 508?
Mendon.
Mendon. All right. What do you got from Mendon?
The little town of Mendon.
What's going on in Mendon tonight? What do you got for us?
Well, like everybody else, I watched the Fox 25 story. I think my takeaway from the Morrissey DOJ letter is he's taking a page out of the Karen Reed defense, and he's trying to create plausible deniability. Shadow of a doubt, if you will.
Incompetence.
I think he's
I mean, we kind of heard that tonight, the incompetence thing. Could it be incompetence or criminal? It's right. Is that where do you think they're going to go with
he's
this?
trying to place himself in I think he's trying to place himself in a position where he can throw the investigators under the bus, saying he was just signing off, which he probably did until he realized he had to look into the facts of the case, backed himself into a corner.
But he still hasn't.
Once he saw the why would he plead that all of a sudden there are all these conflicts over his involvement in the prosecution? It seems he knows he's going down. He just wants a reason to get off in court, or he's trying to create a little back door where it might get thrown out.
Yeah.
I'm not the legal expert.
I just think he doesn't want them to investigate him. Just like Turtle Boy saying, like that's it. He knows he's fucked if they investigate him. That's my opinion.
Yeah, so he's throwing shit at the wall to see if it sticks.
Whatever will work. I mean, anything.
Rachel Rollins did.
And that's the only thing that he figures that Rachel Rollins is probably like a sore spot for the DOJ and the attorney's office because of what happened to her. So he's throwing the only thing out that he has. You know, that's
so like
my
Turtle
opinion.
Boy just commented, she was nowhere near that investigation.
Yeah. So she's been gone for a while now. I think that's ridiculous. Thank you for calling, Zach. What do you think is going to happen from here? Let me ask you that quickly. What do you think will happen? Like, do you think this is all going to get dismissed, or do you think we're in for a long fight, or do you think this is going to end quickly and now?
As you mentioned earlier, I think the mainstream media is forced to now pay attention to what's going on and eventually report on it. So it will draw more attention. The federal investigation, as they said in the Fox 25 news story, could take 2 to 4 years. They're going to let them go ahead. And if this goes to trial with Karen Reed, the feds will come down when they're ready to come down. And, hopefully, God willing, Karen can go after them financially for her hardship.
Oh, I think she will.
It's drawn up that long.
Yeah, I think she'll be able to, hopefully. I thank you so much for calling, Zach.
All right, I appreciate you.
You too. We're the Young Jerks, and we got Brian here. He's an attorney, and we're taking calls. I don't know how many more calls. I don't know if I want to do any more calls tonight. I mean, that was great. This is why I love opening the phone lines, because you truly never know who's going to call. Something I've discovered over the last few years, several years actually. It's amazing. Tonight we had one of those good calls. Shannon McMahon was like best calls that we have had. What do you think about the callers tonight, Brian?
I think they're all great, but I'm trying to get Olivia Lamb to do it.
Olivia Lambo?
We need Olivia Lambo. Her real name, I think, is Lambo.
Yeah, that would be amazing. We'll take a 508. We'll see what this is. This could be her. No, I don't think. Maybe not. I don't know. Who's on the phone?
Hello.
Hi. Who's this?
Hi, this is Olivia.
Wow. Wow.
Hi,
See,
Karen.
Yeah, I was just messaging with Brian.
I thought this was Karen Reed.
I know, right?
So now this is not Karen Reed. It's Olivia Lambo. This is amazing.
Yeah, correct. Olivia Lambo or Olivia Nile on YouTube.
Yeah, I
Thought I would just call in to dispel the haters.
What do you think of? Are you like pumped up tonight? Like, what do you think about what's been going on?
Well, I actually didn't catch the Fox 25 coverage, so I'm not really up to date. But I was listening to Brian earlier, and it's just every time you go back to any of the court documents in this case, or you look through any of the filings, I could have read the filing over like 5 or 10 times, and each new time you go back to it, you find something new that is just more perplexing than the last. And I mean, it's truly bewildering that this is still going on, but
it truly is.
It's really cool to see all of the local people in Canton and, you know, all across the country who are tuning in, rise up and, you know, not back down.
Brian, you have to say something. You were invited. This is pretty amazing. Call. So
Well, I wanted to prove she wasn't Karen Reed. That was the main goal here. Olivia, can you tell us about the thing you posted earlier tonight about the airplane mode? Why don't you explain?
Oh, the GPS?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so, I mean, the GPS thing was bothering me for a while because I would always hear people say that they didn't have probable cause to search the house. They didn't have reason to go inside the house because John's phone proves he didn't go inside the house, or the GPS data on John's phone proves he didn't go inside the house. But of course, we're all afforded the advantage of having all the evidence or all of the information now that investigators didn't have on day one when they showed up to the scene. They didn't have John's phone's data. They didn't have that GPS data. They didn't have all of these little things that, or I guess that one thing that they're relying upon to rule out the idea that he went inside the house. And so when I started looking at Nicholas Guarino's report on that, I mean, it's just, the whole thing is concerning because the state has a tendency to do this thing. I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but they don't ever provide the raw data for anything, whether it's GPS raw data, whether it's Celebrate reports, whether it's Apple Health data, anything. They don't like data. They don't like the evidence, but they like to give you their interpretations of the data and their opining or their, you know, their expert witness giving their opinion on something, which of course is questionable when you've got multiple state expert witnesses who have been shown to be incompetent. I mean, Maureen Hartnick, one of the expert witnesses, failed her competency exam. Nicholas Guarino didn't find any of the incriminating evidence on Jen McCabe's phone.
Hey, he went to Westfield
the
State.
first time when he looked at it.
I gotta tell you, Olivia,
Westfield State graduate Nicholas Guarino. To you.
have you talked to Turtle Boy? Because he's here with us now. He
Hi,
had to come
Olivia.
on.
I've talked to her in writing.
Yeah, I talked to Turtle Boy before. Yeah, on Twitter.
Yes, she's a great.
But this is the
follower.
first time I've talked to all of you guys on, I guess, audio.
And you don't sound much like Karen Reed, to be honest with you. So I guess
I didn't know.
I guess they were wrong. I guess
It's
that's-
acting.
Yeah.
It's
I didn't know. I had no idea. I didn't investigate it though, Olivia.
But now I'm sure that the trolls will say that I'm using like a voice AI or something, of course, right?
Of course. Yeah, something like that. Or it's not really you, or you know, somebody's pretending to be Olivia.
Friend.
whatever. It's just like these people are so painfully stupid. Like I get every time it's like a bad habit. I still look at Kevin's Twitter feed sometimes. I just can't stop looking. It's too funny. And like every day I'm just like, oh, it's like a mixture of like, oh my God, sometimes I get mad and I'm like, I just can't be funny about it anymore. I'm like, you're such a moron. Like I try to be witty sometimes and like make fun of them like a little bit. Like, oh really, Kevin, you're onto something. Tell us more. And then sometimes I just can't help myself. And I'm like, you're just such a moron. Shut up.
I feel my blood pressure rising every time I see either Kevin's YouTube streams or anything he's saying on Twitter. And it's really upsetting because he had some really great videos in the beginning of this.
He did.
And it's confounding like how he's taken such a 180 because I mean he's saying things today that are completely at odds with what he has previously said in his videos, but not because of new evidence or anything that justifies that change in stance. So I don't really understand where the change came from Kevin.
I don't know. It's a great question. Like I think it's part personal. I think he just wanted to be like kind of like the anti-Turtle Boy and he wanted to prove it and now he's just all in on it. But I would say this to Kevin, and it's like he admits that, you know, the Alberts are a source. Like he uses Chris Albert as a source of stuff. He readily admits that. It's like, so my question to him is like, why aren't you having Chris Albert on your show? Like Chris Albert is the source of information for you, right? Like, and he's innocent, right? He's completely innocent. He has nothing to hide. And you're a friendly channel. You're not going to bust his balls about it, right? You're not going to grill him. So why wouldn't he come on your show and talk?
It's over all this bullshit. All of them. If I was getting called all this shit, I would go right on. I'd be on your show, Turtle Boy.
Right. If he had nothing to hide. I can understand Chris Albert not coming on mine because I'm going to, first of all, I have a stay away order. So he's very scared. So, so he knows I would, you know, bust his chops and ask him tough questions. He knows Kevin's not going to do that. It's a friendly place for him to go. Yet none of these people who are all completely innocent, allegedly, have anything to say for themselves. They use people like Kofindafer and Krusty Panties and Kevin to speak for them. None of them can speak for themselves. Yet they're not the ones on trial. Karen Reed's on trial. I'm on trial, and we can't stop talking. But the people who are innocent, who are just witnesses, you know, it's bizarre. It's bizarre.
It's crazy.
I said there was a post I did a while ago where I was like, you always hear in criminal proceedings or criminal trials, you always hear people say about defendants, well, why aren't they speaking? Why aren't they saying anything? If I were truly innocent, I would be telling the whole world, like I would be yelling it from the court steps. And Karen Reed has been doing that. And the only people who haven't been doing that and who haven't been giving interviews, I mean, don't you usually see the friends and family and people, you know, I guess who are involved giving interviews and just trying to raise awareness about their friend or their relative who
even
was
the
brutally
family.
murdered.
I hate to bring it up because I think, you know, Aiden's gotten a lot of heat for this, but even the family. Where's the brother and the mom and the like? Where's John O'Keefe's family? Like I have not said anything about them.
Any interview with them,
but it's a good point. Like
that's not a criticism of them. It's like it's normal in murder trials for the family members of the deceased to be featured in the media on the courthouse steps, being like, "We want justice for my son. We want Karen Reed to be held responsible." They never talk. And the media doesn't seek them out either. It's bizarre.
And I realized that because, you know, at the end of the day, the thing that I always come back to is, I mean, John O'Keefe deserved so much better. He devoted his life to the state, and this is how they repay him. And I think it's so important to remember him in all of this, and that easily gets lost. But I was trying to find more information about John O'Keefe because usually, you know, when something like this, when someone's brutally murdered, you'll hear their family and friends talking about them and who they were as a person and what they're going to miss about him. You know, all those little things that their close family and friends would only know, and to just remember and memorialize that person. And I couldn't find like anything about John O'Keefe, and it was really upsetting, to be honest. And you know, so I understand it's hard for families to talk, right after, or because they're going through a lot. But I just would love to know more about who John O'Keefe was. It's hard to find that.
Well, they played all John O'Keefe is to them. Notice that everything that revolves around John O'Keefe is that he's a cop. Like, that's the only thing that defines him. Even his grave, it has, mentions of police, his badge number, thin blue line. Nowhere on his headstone or anywhere there does it mention that he's his greatest accomplishment in life, which is not being a cop. It is adopting his niece and nephew. That is his greatest life accomplishment. And that's not mentioned anywhere on his headstone. All John is to them is a dead cop that they can all fly a thin blue line flag over. Like, that's all he is, a piece of propaganda that they can use to say, see, we back the blue. We support, we're the pro-police people over here. And all these other people are just a bunch of, liberal communists who don't like the police. And it's just, that's all he is to them, is a useful piece of propaganda.
It's a diversion. It's a diversion. It's like, let's not talk about, like, we'll hide behind this thing, and rather than being real and talking about, the issues that matter here. Like why Jennifer McCabe's phone showed a Google search for how long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. Like, it must be so hard for them to just like the Carl Dugals of the world, who clearly was John's friend. I mean, they go way back. Like, people like him who just have to constantly, every time another damning piece of information comes out, they have to find a way to be like, nope, no, it was Karen. Like, that must be exhausting to participate in the mental gymnastics like that, where you're just constantly trying to find a way to do this. And like, what is going to happen if and when these indictments come? Like, how is Carl Dugal ever going to show his face in public again? And is Peggy O'Keefe going to go to the hearing? Like, what are they going to do?
They can flip. I hope they flip.
That's a good question.
I hope they go just as hard. I hope they go much harder, actually, especially when they realize how betrayed they've really been. So,
what do you mean, though? You hope that they go hard against, like, the real perpetrators?
Exactly.
They can't.
I don't think they will.
Like,
but
Carl,
I would
you
love
think
to see
Carl's
it.
going to?
I don't think so, but I would welcome it.
Like,
You know what
that
I mean?
would
I
like
think- I don't think they will, but I would love to see it. Like, I think that there's got to be space for that too. Like, especially for the family.
Because at this point, like, who are the victims now, right? It's not just John O'Keefe. Karen Reed is a victim. I'm a victim. I was arrested and charged for something I didn't do based by these corrupt people. Like, anybody that these people, the Canton Nine are victims. Like, all of these people are now victims.
Honestly, we're all victims, I would argue, because there's been a chilling effect on free speech in the state of Massachusetts, or really anybody who's an American citizen who wants to talk about this case. Because, I mean, I fear, going to Canton and peacefully protesting, which I have a First Amendment right to do, because, I mean, who knows, if I hold a sign and Chris Albert happens to drive by, that could be witness intimidation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a chilling effect.
Right. They can come to you and cause you, the intimidation is not you going to them. It's there wherever they go.
Exactly.
Eyesight, right? Isn't it eyesight? You're being an eyesight. That was the term they used arbitrarily.
Well, what if the witness is blind? Like, what does eyesight mean? Where does it
It's a
end?
good question.
Where does it
What
begin?
is this blind? I didn't even think of that. It's a great point.
And that's why laws are supposed to be narrowly tailored so that they're not
like with all
broad and open to interpretation.
With all these overpasses on the highway, surely one of the witnesses went under a protest on the overpass at some point, right? That must have been witness intimidation. They saw it. Their eyes saw a sign that said "Free Karen Reed," which, according to the Canton police, is witness intimidation. It is freaking scary, man.
It's crazy that they did that after the federal judge's ruling too.
Yeah, Well, the
Definitely.
federal judge's ruling emboldened them. Like the federal judge basically said, nope, we're not going to issue a TRO. And they're like, yeah, let's fucking go. I believe, right? That was
Well,
the
she's
order.
going to do that. She's not going to do that again because she basically said that they weren't at threat of being arrested. And so
Right.
she wasn't going to give them the orders. And then what do you know, right after that, they're arrested for the thing she said they weren't at threat of being arrested for. So, that doesn't reflect favorably upon the judge either.
I mean, it's a law on our books. Laws can change. We need to, somebody should be, maybe this could be a project. Come up with a better statute. That'd be a better statute in another state.
You could come up with a better statute. Just get rid of a whole bunch of words like emotion, like, okay, physical harm,
That's it.
keep, right?
That's it.
Emotional
Physical-
harm, get rid of. Like I
Exactly.
cause emotional harm every day. Like financial harm, there exists. It's called tort. It's tort. It's defamation. That's a civil thing. There's courts exist for that. Okay, the witness intimidation statute should basically be
Physical.
if you threaten physical violence against a witness, not a family member of a witness, an actual witness. Now, Lizzie Proctor doesn't count. A witness in a trial for the purposes of getting them to alter their testimony, that's witness intimidation. Enough with this like emotional harm and like all this vague language that is just allowing these people who are these bad faith actors to weaponize the statute.
Well, family
That's the problem.
needs to be defined in that statute because, if you were if this is the mafia and you want to intimidate somebody, you say it would be a shame if your son's knees got broken. So you could get to the witness by getting to their family member. But the day you were arrested, I went through the statute and I was on with Mike and I said, to me, it looked like you hurt my feelings.
Exactly.
That's witness intimidation.
You made me
That's-
uncomfortable. That's it.
That's
it.
not what it's supposed to be.
The things that they read in court, when I'm standing there listening to them read, I'm like, this is it. This is it. Like I asked Lizzie Proctor if they were going to allow conjugal visits. That's witness intimidation. I announced Michael Proctor's phone number on the show, which is in a public document. Also Alan Jackson published that. Is that witness intimidation? Like the court itself didn't impound it. Is that witness intimidation? But posting a phone number is, it's like, if what I did is a crime, then we don't have a constitution anymore. We don't have a country anymore.
Well, look at where Morrissey had to go to find a lawyer to handle this case.
Fall River.
He had to go all the way to Fall River.
Not good.
I'm
go to
from
Fall River,
Fall
find-
River, so I can criticize Fall River.
Yeah. Yeah,
You look at that guy's resume. He wouldn't be my first choice for referral.
It's kind
Not
of
refer
spotty.
a
Huh?
case to that guy. No,
But he's doing everything wrong so far, and he's winning. Like he's 2-0 in court. Like it's like because these judges, it's all about the judges.
Judge Krupp is concerning as well. I mean, honestly, hopefully when this is all said and done and, Karen is free and justice is brought, like we can all reflect back and say that there was a net positive ultimately in the end, because look at how many, people in positions of authority this is opening our eyes to. I mean, I wasn't even looking at the judges in Massachusetts before this, but now that I'm seeing, first of all, Aiden, your Judge Krupp, who's overseeing your current proceedings, he's done something already in your proceedings that is prejudicial to you. And that's referring to the witnesses who you've been charged with intimidating as victims, which that is a legal conclusion. Their victimhood status is very much what is at issue here. It hasn't been determined. You're presumed innocent. So by him calling them victims, he's already determined your guilt. I was going to reach out to you and say that you should have your lawyer.
I didn't know that. I mean, did he actually call them victims in court?
Yeah, it was back. I think I have the clips saved in my phone. I'll look back and see if I can find them for you. But it was a few hearings ago, and I mean, he may have said it in more recent hearings, but it was something that, if you remember Judge Schroeder from the Kyle Rittenhouse trial,
oh yeah,
it was a ruling that he made that the two, I think one of the decedents who was shot and killed by Kyle Rittenhouse couldn't be referred to as a victim because, of course, in a self-defense case, if the person who is shot and killed in self-defense is a victim, then it can't be self-defense because it's not justified if they're a victim. And so anyway, Judge Schroeder ruled out the ability for either side to refer to them as victims because it's so prejudicial. And it has a prejudicial effect on the proceedings and on the jury.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that. But that guy just clearly does not like me. I think it's pretty obvious. He is not a fan. He is not a turtle rider. And he came in and it's just like, he knew he had read the whole charging document. And he was just like, are you telling me that, that it is an act of journalism for a journalist to call up somebody and say, yo, it's Turtle Boy from them Advantage Boys, bang, bang. Is that what you're telling me, Mr. Bradle? And it's like, well, you did it all wrong, Judge. You did it wrong. Okay. It's like, you're pulling it off. You got to put a little heart into it. You're getting it all wrong. It's like, I'm like offended by you're screwing it up. It's very hard not to talk in court, to be very honest with you. I'm just like, this fucking guy saying this right now.
Seriously.
Like, you know?
Oh God. I can't even imagine.
The $5 million comment. I'm like, you should see my face. Ted Daniel was like, he made a face during that. I'm like, what? 5 million? Get out of here. Like this, that was when
honestly, that was the best. That was the best moment because that's when you know that
they're out of their
mind.
mind.
Really? Okay, then this entire case is complete bullshit
right.
Because that's absurd.
I feel like they're just throwing so much shit in there in the hopes to like overwhelm and it worked, to overwhelm the judge's crops. Like he's looking at this like, oh, if there's all this shit in there, this guy must suck. He must be a horrible person because look at all this shit. Even if you can explain the first 10 pages, how do you explain the last 60 pages? It's just meant to overwhelm you and create the impression that this guy must be bad. I mean, look at all these fucking pages. He must be horrible. It's not one comment. It's like 100 comments in here. And I could break them down one by one. They actually are all bullshit. Every single last one of them is bullshit. They brought up the freaking billboard of all things in the charging documents that I liked the billboard because it would be seen by a lot of people in Norfolk County who are potential jurors. I do like that. I do like that. Like what, like if you were running a political campaign and you wanted people to vote for you, you'd want to be seen. Are you now, what is that tainting an election pool? Like tainting an election because you're trying to sway public opinion? Like, oh, you can't.
Well, if that's the,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm saying when you voir dire, is that how you pronounce it? Like you still get to eliminate people who already have a bias already, right? I mean, that's the whole point. Not every single person's going to see it. So you will be able to find 12 who at least claim to have no knowledge of it. So what are they worried about?
They've never had a problem auditing and pulling together a jury in the history of all criminal proceedings in this country.
They did it for OJ.
I hardly doubt this is going to be the first time.
They did it for OJ,
okay, but,
right? They found a jury for OJ.
Right, exactly.
Those guys knew. His jury knew. There's no way his jury didn't know who he was. No way.
But Aiden, if that's tainting a jury pool or tainting proceedings, then what is the DA communicating with Jennifer Coffindoffer, who I would argue is an ex-FBI agent, influencer on Twitter, who has a 70,000 plus following.
And then she gets on court TV, and yeah, she's not tainting.
Or asking out the woman to dinner who's writing a story about this case. You want to go out for burgers and fuck? Like that's what that match, like burgers and then what, Mr. Trump? I mean, that whole thing was inappropriate. It's just like, he was playing her like a fiddle. Like, and it all made sense after I read those emails. I'm like, because I thought Gretchen and I had a good rapport, and I thought she got it. She understood what was happening here. But Traub was just working her the whole time, and he was working her. I talked to her a couple times. He was talking to her all the time. He was working her from day one. He's like, we need this story. We need some sort of positive press out of this, and he got it.
And
I mean, what's just amazing to me when you go through the emails between Traub and David Traub and Gretchen Voss is that he spends like a paragraph in one of his emails explaining to her, oh yeah, when we referred to the scene, we didn't mean the actual scene of the crime, because God forbid the lead investigator into a murder of a cop actually went to the scene of the crime where that cop was murdered at all. But no, we were actually referring to the scene, which is now a fluid thing. And we've just completely invented this concept that nobody's ever heard of before. Because, when you see the prosecution referring to the scene in their documents, everybody assumes that it's a fluid thing. Nobody assumes that it refers to the scene of the crime. I mean, did Gretchen Voss not think that was peculiar or questionable?
Apparently not. How about the text message that they entered into evidence? Like, here's the proof of how Colin was not at the house. This bizarre message that doesn't say like, "Oh, I'm here." Well, where's here? Like, how about that? Like, I think it's pretty obvious. Like, to me, that text message incriminates Colin because it makes it look like she picked him up somewhere at 12:09 to bring him to Fairview Road, because that's when the party's started. And it's just like, okay, let's go over here now. It almost looks like he's brought there because like O'Keefe's gonna be there. I know you got beef with O'Keefe. O'Keefe's gonna be there. You could say something to him. It just makes it look worse, in my opinion. And then all of the messages disappear from February, whatever that was, January 29th to February like 22nd. So these two teenagers who were just at a house, their story is that they left a house and then 10 minutes later a murder occurred, right? That they weren't there for. And at no point do these teenagers talk about like, oh shit, there was a fucking murder there like 10 minutes after we left. That was crazy, huh? That's fucking nuts. They just didn't talk about it. Like, what? Who believes that? Yeah. Who believes that?
Well, we don't know if if there were messages or if they went missing. But what we do know is that there's no text messages exchanged between Colin Albert and Allie McCabe between the 29th and then like February 20th or something, which is just as crazy as the fact that Jen McCabe, after allegedly finding a dead body she knew nothing about on the front lawn of her brother-in-law's and her sister's house, called her husband, Matt McCabe, for only 20 seconds. I mean, if that just happened and you just found your friend, John O'Keefe, who looks like he's been, brutally assaulted, dying, wouldn't you have maybe a little bit longer of a phone call with your husband? Like, Matt, I can't believe what just happened. Like, you'd be freaking out. It would be longer than 20 seconds, I'd imagine.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know.
Nothing adds up.
What do you think they think about when they used to go to court and get dressed and they put on their blue jeans and their sweatshirts or whatever? And then they're like, don't forget, honey, the Justice for JJ button. Because it's like her and Matt getting dressed for court together. Mm-hmm. They both know what they did, right? It's like this thing. And like they have to get dressed and then like, don't forget the button for the guy we killed. Like, we can't forget the fucking, that's insane and psychotic. Those buttons, I swear to God, when this is all said and done, those buttons and Jen McCabe and them walking out of court with the buttons on is what people are going to remember most about this.
Crazy.
Oh, you know what I was just thinking about too, when with the calls to Coco or Nicole Albert, Jen's sister, who's inside 34 Fairview at, 6:07 and 6:08 a.m., right after she gets off the phone with 911. First of all, it's crazy to me how the prosecution's trying to argue that those went to voicemail because, first of all, they show up as answered in the call log, and they both have different length durations. One is 7 seconds and one is 9 seconds. And for calls that were not answered or went to voicemail, it shows that on the call log that they were unanswered specifically or went to voicemail, what have you. So my question is, if Jen McCabe arrives to her sister's house and sees a dead cop on the front lawn, wouldn't she be worried about the people inside the house? Like, I hope they're okay. And then especially if they don't answer their phone, wouldn't she be like running into the house to go
is
make
there
sure
like a
they're okay?
chainsaw massacre in there or some shit? Like, how many
Exactly.
dead bodies are there? Like, did some
Are you
psycho-
okay? Yeah.
Yeah, did some like axe murderer stop by at 3 a.m. in a Ford
Jen-
Edge and start killing
You have
people?
no idea what happened, right?
Yeah.
The police should have had the same response.
Yes, they should have. They should have rushed in that house. Like, is everyone okay? There's a dead fucking body on your front lawn. Get your shit together. We got to see. Do you know this guy? Holy shit. Like, oh shit, it's a cop too. Like, oh man, you're a cop too in the same city. Do you know this guy? Because he's dead and he's on your front lawn for some reason. Are you okay? Like, did you see anything? Like, oh my God.
Why do you smell like bleach?
Why do you smell like bleach?
Oh my
You know
God.
you smell like bleach. You know there's bleach all over that fucking house.
Oh my God. Honestly, you know whose phone record I want to see for January 29th? Michael Proctor's.
Oh my
I
God.
want to see where he was.
Yeah.
I'd like to piece together Michael Proctor's whole day, like the whole. I want minute by minute because he got called by Lank. No, or did Lank call him at 6:36 according to Lank's police?
Michael Lank.
Yeah, and so like, do they know each other? I assume they do. Everybody in this town fucking knows each other. They probably go to the same barbecues and shit. You'd have no, like they're 10 years apart. At
Two
Canton High
cops
School.
live in the same town. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And
They
and
probably
so,
know each
like there's no like, so I'm sure that like how is Proctor calling Lank that early? I mean, like, and of course it's Proctor at 6:36. I would like to know what time Michael Proctor was alerted to this situation about the problem. You know, I'm guessing it was like 1 a.m. I'm guessing someone was on the horn from the Albert family, like probably Chris. Chris is probably a lot more involved in this than I think. And I do think that like the way Chris and Jen in particular are acting is like only a parent would act. Like they are so worried because both of their teenage children are directly involved in this. And Allie like was a getaway driver for a murder, essentially. You know, that could potentially be what she goes. She get in a lot of trouble for that. You know, like it's not so she's gonna have to testify against Colin if and when that day comes about what was he like in the car. Tell us everything. Did he have blood on him? What was he saying? Blah blah blah. She's gonna have to save herself. So like the way Chris and Jen in particular are fighting is different from Brian because his kids aren't implicated in this, whereas both of theirs are.
Aiden, add an allegedly in there, here and there. Just throw an allegedly in there.
Allegedly.
Just if for nobody else than for Mike.
Let's put it this way: they can sue me. I welcome a lawsuit. I welcome a lawsuit from one of these people. Then we can get really interesting. Then we can get different judges and get some
Disclosure.
phones. We'll get some discovery going.
Oh boy!
You know, one of the things that bothered. One of the things, we got off Traub for a second. David Traub, he was releasing evidence outside of a courtroom.
How so?
Well, the emails that you came forward with in your FOIA request showed him explaining things that we did not have anywhere else. I found things in there that I went, wow, I didn't know that. I don't specifically recall which ones. To me, that's an unethical action by the DA's office because they're trying to get an article that was accusatory against Karen. So I can add that to my ethical complaint if you'll ever send those to me.
Oh yeah, I mean everything I had was right in that story.
But I mean the actual PDFs.
Okay,
I can throw that in.
Can you email me and I'll just forward the email?
Sure.
Great, awesome. Let's do it. And I'll tell. Here's another thing too. I did a public records request with the town of Canton and the Norfolk County DA's office 2 weeks ago, and the keywords I asked for were Turtle Boy, Aiden Carney, Masshole Report, Kate Peter, because I think she's a lot more involved in this than like this whole indictment reeks and all the quotes. Like, there's no way Brian Tully watched 300 hours of the Turtle Boy live show
Right.
and had it ready. Like, only an obsessive person who just watches every minute of my show would do that. So I finally heard back today from the town of Canton after 10 business days, and they have a lot. It's going to cost me $37.50 to get it all. And so I sent in a check today, and it should be there tomorrow. And hopefully I get all those emails and whatnot tomorrow. The district attorney's
Did they
office,
say how many? Did they say how many pages that was in that?
they just said there's a lot of emails.
A lot of
That's what they
emails. Oh, I
So
can't wait.
we'll see. We'll see what comes, because there's no way that they're not in regular communication just talking about it. I mean, we'll see what comes up, you know. I also heard from a local police department today. She may or may not be facing more criminal charges regarding something. So I don't want to give away too much.
That's Kate Peter.
Yeah, so we'll just stay tuned with that, because again, I did not want to make this person part of the story, the narrative. But the fact of the matter is that she has influenced, certainly, I think, the district attorney's office, at least in the prosecution of me. Maybe not so much the Karen Reed case, but with me. I don't think this would be happening without her participation.
Crazy.
That's my belief.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
I mean, it's obvious Ken Mello didn't write the affidavit.
No, he did
He can't
not.
even read it.
No, that guy. I wonder what he thinks. I wonder what he thinks. Like, does he know what's going? Does he think I'm a bad guy?
Honestly, he's.
I don't
from
think
Fall
he
River.
knows that much, to be honest.
Yeah, I have a feeling he doesn't know.
Like, I wonder if he has like if he's just doing his job and collecting a check, or if he like truly believes like this guy is bad and I'm doing a good public service by prosecuting him.
Well, I think he probably does, because on the surface, if you haven't actually listened to one of your shows, you just look at the Bang Bang thing, and it just lacks context.
Yeah, so there's no way he watched that, right?
He probably
No
doesn't
way.
think, yeah, he probably thinks Karen Reed's guilty too, right? I mean, if he's, I'm guessing he's friends with Morrissey. That like and a lot of times, if you just hear one side of a story from your friend,
Who's Jennifer's lawyer? He's friends with that guy,
yeah.
from what I heard.
Do you think he's friends with Morrissey?
With Reddington, I don't think he's
Reddington.
that good, but his wife is buddies with Reddington's wife. I don't think Reddington thinks.
Yeah,
too
Mello and Reddington have been pictured together.
They
They're
have.
friends. I think they're friends. They look pretty friendly in the picture.
I got all of
There
them.
may
are
have been. I
friends.
think there's more than one picture, actually.
I can't say anything.
I
But
mean,
They
there's more to
needed
that.
they needed a plotting rube to run that case, and they got one.
I heard he was like their 12th choice, that they asked so many people to do it and no one
Nope.
wanted to do it for various. I mean, I think a lot of people just don't want to be featured as a regular recurring joke on Turtle Boy, whereas like Ken Mello's just probably never heard of it before, doesn't know what any of this means, doesn't go on the internet. He's just like, whatever, sign me up. And whereas a lot of these other ADAs are like, yeah, I don't want to be on Ratchet Madness next year. I'm all set. I can find other work. I don't
I
need
want
this.
to be in the room when he's cross-examining you. That
Yeah.
would be entertainment.
I don't think it's ever going to happen, to be perfectly honest with you, especially after the most recent developments with this. I don't think the
Oh,
Karen
yeah.
Reed trial is ever going to happen. I don't. I know a lot of people do, and I think they're preparing for it. They obviously have to prepare for it, that it will happen.
Does
But
March seem crazy? Like that doesn't.
I don't. It's
seem
not going to happen
doable.
in March. Like
Yeah.
especially with these new developments now. I just think that at some point, like you saw in that thing tonight, it said 2 to 4 years it could last, whatever. But like, I think that the district, and I've always said this, I think that the district attorney's office is just waiting until like a week or two before the trial, and then they're going to drop something. There might not be the full indictment. It might be like that they are, just landing a blow on somebody, maybe indicting some small player like Brian Higgins or something like that, announcing that they're charged. Anything to make the Karen Reed case
Michael
unable to
Crawford.
move forward. I think they would be ethically, or just give them a bunch of discovery that they have not handed over, things like exculpatory stuff, something they're ethically, like they have to do. Like they want to get these people, they have to work in silence, but I don't think that they can just sit there and watch Karen Reed go to trial over this. And if that happens, then my problems are solved. You know, like because her problems go away, my problems go away. And I have the advantage of going second, right? Like they would have to go first before me. So if she's found not guilty, like anything, it's just like all that strengthens my case. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I can't imagine it happening.
Well, maybe they're just waiting for the trial. They're waiting for the perjury.
Maybe so. I mean, it can only help me. So I would love, I mean, it would be wildly entertaining to take the stand with Ken Mello. And I'm a good communicator. I feel like I can explain every statement I've made. Because I said this the other night. I'm like, I don't feel like a criminal. Like, I feel like it's like people who rob banks, people who, like Bernie Madoff probably felt like a criminal. He went to bed every night knowing that, like, I'm a shitty person. I stole from people. I did this. I did that. It's like they know in their hearts of hearts they're criminals. I got to be honest. I don't feel like a criminal. I feel like a guy with a YouTube show who gets a little colorful sometimes. I don't feel like a criminal.
I don't think of you as a criminal. I don't think anyone on the show tonight really thinks of you as a criminal.
You know,
especially for this
Aiden,
case.
I would argue if you're supposed to feel like a criminal based on those charging papers, then why didn't the guy who is Jen McCabe's, I guess it would be her husband's brother, so Sean McCabe, who threatened you with murder, and as far as I'm concerned, you're a witness for the defense because you have been referenced in affidavits.
Yeah, at the very least, a potential. At the very least, a potential witness, because that counts according to the statute too.
Right. So based on that alone, I mean, if the DA Morrissey's office is so concerned with prosecuting witness intimidation, why didn't they go after Sean McCabe, who threatened to murder and bury your corpse under Judge Bev Canone's house? Because as we know, you became a potential witness. And I mean, that's probably the most extreme of threats that you could possibly issue someone.
Yeah, why don't you go file charges on that?
I guess I mean, it's the state police's job to file charges on. I mean, I guess I could file charges. I mean, who would I call? My local police
Did it happen in Canton? Do what Tommy did.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was in Holden when those happened, right? So would I go to the Holden police?
Yeah.
You know,
why not?
Honestly, you should. If you can, you should.
Maybe you're onto something. Maybe something like that is. Maybe something like that is already in the works with someone else. Let's just put it that way. If you've made statements on your channel in which you say you better not show up to court. And if you do show up to court, you're going to be assaulted.
That is.
And then you do show up
assaulted.
And then you actually get assaulted at court. That's like definition of witness intimidation. So we'll see how that plays out.
Okay.
I don't want to give away too much.
Excellent. This has been crazy. A crazy, wild, awesome show tonight. We have Olivia on the line. Aiden is here. Brian.
Well, I'm going to get going, but thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Can we ask Olivia to finish what she was saying about the GPS?
I'll sign off and listen. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Aiden.
Sorry, what was that, Brian?
The airplane mode. I don't think you quite finished talking about the airplane mode.
Yeah. Yeah, I can talk about that quickly. So what Brian's referring to is from a tweet that I put out earlier tonight, going over Nicholas Guarino's report where he analyzes the GPS data from John O'Keefe's cell phone that the prosecution is claiming is their proof that John did not go inside of 34 Fairview. And one of the glaring problems with that, to me at least, is that they're saying that the GPS data is, I guess, superior to Apple Health movement data in terms of understanding one's movements. But I would argue that's not the case because GPS requires a connection. Well, the GPS that's used in iPhones is a hybrid GPS form. So it relies not only on satellites like traditional GPS, but it also relies on your proximity to a cell tower and some of them can use Wi-Fi as well. So anyway, long story short, GPS has a number of different things, a number of different factors that can affect how accurate it is at any given time, like your cell signal or your reception, or the weather, for instance, or how close you are to a building or a tree. And if you look in Richard Green's report, he notes that the cell signal becomes greatly diminished when John O'Keefe, and I believe for Jen McCabe's phone as well, when they are in the area of 34 Fairview. So presumably the cell reception is not great there. And that's why that's why it's showing that. So that would be something that would affect the accuracy of the GPS. So that's important to consider. But more importantly, Nicholas Guarino is basing his determination for when John O'Keefe is killed on when his GPS data stops showing movement, which happens at 12, I think it's like 12:25 something. I put all the times right in my tweet, but basically it's around 12:25 when John's phone stops showing GPS movement data. However, his phone is still showing movement data in his Apple Health app, which is registering both steps and flights of stairs escalating, or I think it's only ascending. But anyway, it's showing movement data in the Apple Health app for 7 more minutes after the GPS data stops showing movement. So until 12:35 a.m. or 12:33. Sorry, there's a lot of times in my brain right now.
It's
but
late too.
Anyway,
it's almost
so
midnight.
his phone is showing movement data still from the Apple Health app after they allege he is killed. And furthermore, it also starts showing movement data in the Apple Health app nearly 10 minutes before his phone starts showing movement data via the GPS data on his phone in the morning when he's found. So he's found at like 6:03 and however many seconds. His phone starts showing steps. It starts registering that steps are being taken at like 6:04 something. But it doesn't start showing any GPS movement data until around 6:15. So this makes me wonder, and I would be wondering this as a juror, was John's cell phone placed in airplane mode? Because it abruptly stopped showing GPS movement data at 12:25 a.m., but it's still showing Apple Health movement data until 12:33 or whatever it is. Apple Health does not rely on network connectivity, on Wi-Fi, on satellite connectivity, none of that. So if your phone's in airplane mode, it's still going to be recording Apple Health movement data. This is why I think the Apple Health app is really important for understanding John O'Keefe's movements. And, the state has not, I don't know if they've investigated whether his phone is in airplane mode or not, but they certainly haven't shown it in any of their reports or in any of their court filings. So the only assumption I can make is that they haven't ruled that possibility out. And if that's the case, then that's really important. And furthermore, the state is trying to discredit the Apple Health movement data because they say that it's unreliable because John O'Keefe's cell phone continues to move and record movement data until long after he's pronounced dead, until 11:56 a.m. because of their failure to secure evidence. But the problem with that is that argument and that logic, that's going to completely destroy their argument for including or using the GPS data. Because guess what? If John's phone is moving around and registering Apple Health movement until 11:56 a.m. after he's been pronounced dead, that means his GPS data is also going to be showing movement until 11:56 a.m., showing that he is, he's on a table, he's dead. So then where's his phone registering its GPS location during all those times where it's still moving in Apple Health data until 11:56 a.m.? It's like the prosecution just wants to cherry
have it
pick their
both
data
ways.
and ignore the rest of it.
Thank you so much, Olivia, for calling in tonight.
Can't imagine a jury's going to understand a lot of this.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to be able to figure it
Well,
out.
juries,
The doubt's going to be there.
I think people are smart.
Yeah.
I think they'll figure it
And
out.
they'll figure out that
Yeah, but the
there's
smart
way too
people will
many
know
red
how to get out of
flags in
jury
this case.
duty.
the smart ones. Thank you so much for calling in tonight, Olivia.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Thanks for
nice
having
to
me
hear your
on. And
voice.
thanks for doing what you're doing here, Mike.
You too. I'd love to have you back on. People are requesting it.
All right, I'll have to talk to you in the background
Twitter.
on
Yes.
Twitter.
Awesome. Thank you again.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good night.
You too. Olivia Nile, Olivia Lambo. Check her out. Thank you so much. Brian, thank you for being on tonight.
Okay.
You have any final
Been-
thoughts?
it's been
real quick?
fun.
Yeah.
No.
Estate law, add estate law on Twitter, right?
Estate plan.
State plan. I screwed it up. I don't know why I thought it was law.
plan.
State plan. Add a state plan.
You know, Mike, I do want to, let me just, I know it's late.
Yep.
Where are all the lawyers in this case? Where are all the criminal defense lawyers? I'm not trying to get into this field.
Well,
You know,
that's
somehow-
the thing. It's funny because I'm actually talking to Turtle Boy about his attorney coming on, and I'm gonna hit up Alan Jackson and them too. I haven't hit him up yet, Yannetti. So we'll see. We'll probably get some of them on here.
But that really wasn't my point. My point is there's got to be some young defense lawyer out there
Who wants to talk
who's
about this
looking
case?
for publicity.
Yeah.
And where are they all? Are they afraid of speaking out against a DA?
Well, I think
it?
that was great that Shannon McMahon called in tonight. She's an attorney, so that was cool.
That's
I know.
good. Let's
You're
get
right
more
though.
like that.
You would think some more would come out. There's another guy who almost beat the Essex County DA. He almost won that race. Lynch. Maybe I should reach out to him. He's really sharp. He's a criminal defense guy too. So
Yeah,
you got
good.
some good points. I'm surprised. You're right. You'd think someone would realize the amount of viewers we're getting here and would reach out to us. But
Or at least even go on Twitter
yeah,
and start
or
commenting
go on
about
the
the
Turtle
case.
Boy. I mean, can you imagine just one of them going on the TB show with Turtle
No, I
Boy
mean,
daily?
it's a marketing opportunity for some
Yes.
younger lawyer who's building a practice, but I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
They've got to be fearful.
They're probably too busy. Yeah, look at this. Rassless mom says defense attorneys are busy. They don't get to sit on the thumbs all day. That might be a good point. It's like me being a dog, like my dog business. People are like, you should do advertising here. I'm like, I don't advertise. You kidding me? Keep raising my prices and telling people no. Once you get a certain amount of customers, man, you're like, you don't want any more.
Right. And that's where I am. And now people are starting to call me on criminal matters.
Yeah.
And I've been telling them, so let
can't
me
do it.
repeat this to everybody. Don't call me on criminal
They don't
cases.
call you for criminal. Call you for an estate plan. Call you for tax and probate questions, and life insurance, and all that stuff. I thank you so
All right,
much for
Mike.
calling in tonight, Brian.
All right, take care. Have
We'll
a good
see you
night.
soon. You too.
Bye.
Bye now. We're the Young Jerks. My name is Mike Crawford. We had a good show tonight. I want to make sure that I go through some of the donations and all that stuff, and make sure we acknowledge people here tonight. I put that up. What happened to that? 1 second here. There we go. Free Karen Reed. Sure, everyone does that. FreeKarenReed.net. That's what it's all about. The Turtle Boy Defense Fund, and also the Canton9.com. Just want to go through some of the donations tonight. I did hear some of them. Anne sent $40. She said, thank you again, Mike. Diane sent $20. She said, great show tonight. Thank you. John Varney sent $50 and said, great show tonight. That's Venmo. You can give money to us. Mike Crawford 1 on the Cash App, or Mike Crawford TYJ on Venmo. And let's see if anything came in on the Cash App tonight. And hopefully we're going to be broadcasting tomorrow night. I'm pretty sure the select board meeting has happened. It's on their schedule, but someone made note that I could be wrong, that it could be a one-on-one tomorrow. So we're going to find out on that too. But again, we should be broadcasting hopefully tomorrow night at 7 p.m. the select board meeting if it does happen. Looks like nope, no donations on the Cash App. So we just got a few donations on the Venmo. Again, we'll be accepting donations throughout the night if you want to. Cash App is Mike Crawford 1. Cash App is Mike Crawford 1. Or Venmo, Mike Crawford TYJ, like the Young Jerks. Mike Crawford TYJ on Venmo, Mike Crawford 1 on the Cash App. Thank you so much for everyone who's been watching tonight. We had a lot of listeners. Thank you, Turtle Boy, for Aiden for calling in. I want to thank Olivia for calling in. That was amazing. And also Brian. We also some great calls. Jean from Dorchester. Shannon McMahon was awesome. She's was the DA candidate from Bristol County. We also had Zach from Mendon. I want to thank everyone who's been calling into the show. Love your calls. We'll see you soon. Mike Crawford, check it out. And I'm going to play this one more time on the way out. Hopefully.
A closely guarded federal probe into claims of a cover-up.
We've been covering Karen Read since her initial arrest for the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe in Canton, nearly 2 years ago. There have been a lot of twists and turns.
I would ask the common sense question, does this look like a road rash?
Well, the information the council is relying on has him going up and down 3 flights of stairs before he's even at the house.
In the shadow of all the courtroom drama is a federal investigation. Our sources tell us the U.S. Attorney's Office is investigating the investigators who charged Read with murder. That is highly unusual. 25 Investigates will reveal a timeline that suggests someone with inside knowledge of the case went to the U.S. Attorney's Office long before Karen Read's lawyers went public with their claims of a cover-up. And a federal grand jury that's been meeting doesn't appear to be targeting people outside of law enforcement. Is it safe to assume that someone who's gone in and testified at a federal grand jury is probably not the target of that investigation?
It's probably a good bet to say that they're not the target. Usually the target won't testify until the very end, if at all.
And there's a big difference between something that is criminal and something where protocols may have not been followed correctly.
It's a big difference. Criminal is taken to a much higher standard. Obviously, you need to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
So right now we are putting the finishing touches on a story that's going to air later tonight. The Norfolk DA's office is caught up in this federal probe. I'll tell you about a letter the Norfolk DA himself sent to the Department of Justice and what happened when we tried to get a copy of it. Vanessa?
Ted, there is an awful lot of interest in this case. We've been hearing it from all of our viewers. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, there is. And the fact that the feds won't acknowledge the probe makes it a challenge to report on. Essentially, everything has to come from our sources. I got some new information over the weekend that we added to, we're adding now to our report, and it's going to be included in that story tonight at 10:15.
Looking forward to hearing from that, Ted. I know a lot of people are. A lot of people have been following this one. We'll see you again later this evening. Thank you.
Happening tomorrow, President Joe Biden will be in